Hey guys, so I just finished Crossroads of Canopy, a debut epic fantasy by Thoraiya Dyer. First book in a trilogy called Titan's Forest. This is set in the heights of said giant forest, with a lyrical, whimsical writing style that is, at times, a bit too much, a dark, gritty, imaginative world that clashes somewhat with that writing style, but grows exponentially from its pages as you flip through the story. A hierarchy of gods, magic, and abilities that can be difficult to grasp at times, and a plot that at first feels aimless but eventually reins itself in with a climax that pushes us into a second book that will hopefully build on this one's flaws. Canopy and its 13 kingdoms sit atop the forest and rule with gods and goddesses at their helm. Each of the 13 gods and goddesses are consistently reincarnated when they die. A goddess could remain a goddess indefinitely or become a god, and vice versa. Each of these reincarnated gods and goddesses have a bodyguard of the opposite gender. So when one is reincarnated as a male god, they will have a female bodyguard. And it is with this in mind that Unar sets off on what she believes is her destiny. She runs away from home, as her parents believe it'd be best to sell her into slavery, slaves being commonplace here, to instead join the garden with Udblayan, goddess of life, growth, and waker of senses, at its head. Unar believes the next iteration of Udblayan will be male, and so she fancies herself his bodyguard, his most trusted and loyal friend, confidant, and protector. She serves the garden until Udblayan's death, but is denied ascendance within the garden's hierarchy. To alter this transgression as she sees it, and to join her friends who now outrank her in power and ability, Unar must brave below the barrier of Canopy, kept in place to keep those who have been deemed lower out, to the dangerous and untamed understory, where she will attempt to find a lost and fallen child that may or may not be Udblayan's successor. She is thrown into a world so unlike the one she knows, its brutality more open and apparent than Canopy's nonchalant, malevolent nature towards slaves and outcasts, which Unar is accustomed to. There's chimeras, other dangerous beasts, understorians that either accept or despise her presence there, and new unspoken laws to learn, lost knowledge those in Canopy aren't privy to, and the hints of an uprising that may ignite all the forest in a fervor of war, change, and upheaval. Unar must find her place, where she stands, what she stands for, and what she can become. For a while, much of this story's characters and plot seem stagnant. Unar especially begins seemingly as a bit of a spoiled brat, kind of making the same bad decisions over and over again, or otherwise being indecisive or just plain willfully ignorant of herself, the world around her, and how it works. It's honestly super frustrating to read from her third-person perspective, as the plots focus on her childish actions and self-destructive tendencies cause the book to drag more than it should. And we follow her as she does all these selfish, often unclearly motivated things, befriends slaves but still treats them like dirt, and just does whatever she sees fit regardless of the consequences. Many of the characters she encounters or interacts with at first seem flat and one note. They and her do, though, become much better characters as the story progresses. Maybe about halfway through, the book really picks up and starts showing us different sides to everyone that we've met, and introduces new plot points that eventually build to the climax and really showcases the world and its possibilities in ways that the first half gives only glimpses of. In the depths of this forest, in all three of its realms, canopy, understory, and floor, hides endless possibilities, stories, and points of interest, and the writing really lends itself to this whimsical setting, but also juxtaposes that drastically with a narrative that focuses on its dark side. While Canopy sits easy in the sun, it's anything but bright and happy up there. The whole system is corrupt, and their prosperous, safe inhabitance is marred by the systematic oppression and murder of slaves. We, as readers, are privy to the deplorable nature of such a thing, but Unar and the others must wake up to it. Often these slaves are brought from below Canopy, bought and sold as lesser beings, That mixed with Unar's experience and understory makes for a world that seems whimsical on its surface, but has depths that'd kill you were you to fall into it. Something I love about the cover, actually, other than how beautiful it is in general, is the perspective we're given, looking down from up above into the abyss of a forest so deep that you can't even see the bottom. This, with the author's writing, really brings this place to life, especially as we explore down even further. And Thoraiya Dyer's writing, in many ways, is quite beautiful, but the beginning bits really cake it on thick, that flowery fairy tale-like language that creates a sort of detachment from the reader and the story. I want to see what's happening on the other side of your opaque writing, not just the writing itself. Put this together with a kind of meandering plot for the first half and in many ways an unlikable main character, and you get a slog that's just difficult to push through at times, despite how pretty and vivid the scenery gets. But once again, as the plot progresses and you turn more pages, the window through which we see the plot becomes more transparent, and the strength of the narrative is allowed to come through more. I'd say the writing falls somewhere on the scale of maybe like a flowery writing between Patrick Rothfuss and Catherine M. Valente, right there in the middle. It's a little too much the focus at first, but becomes an enhancement rather than a hindrance the more you get into it. Most of this book felt like setup. The writing, world building, plot, and characters all sit kind of on the edge, just waiting to be tipped over, but never quite do until halfway through. And I think the eventual payoff is rewarding, the climax exciting, the prospects of where this story could go interesting. I'll give the second book a shot for sure, in hopes that it'll take what worked in this one and make it better. I'd love to know more about the gods and goddesses, their kingdoms, their servants, abilities, how this world works, the history of it, etc. in the next one. Hopefully she'll expand what she's already done and won't look back or revert back to sloppy storytelling in favor of attempted poetry. This is absolutely worth your time if you're interested in the setting and don't mind, or if you love that kind of writing style, and if you give it a shot, hopefully you'll see, as I did, that eventually it concludes with a bang and gives whatever comes next the opportunity to be really awesome. If you would like to win a copy of this, Tor has offered to host a giveaway for me, and I thank them very much for that. This one is US only, because they're going to be sending it out. Be subscribed, like this video, and leave a comment so that I know to enter you. You'll have until March or so to enter. If you've already read this yourself, started reading it, are interested in picking it up now, I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you enjoy about it? What about this works for you or doesn't work for you? Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will see you later with more.